What's up, everybody? This is Rabid Hedgehog, and these are just a few of the fine examples of hand-done artwork that we have at our Teespring and TeePublic stores that help support this channel. If you'd like to take a look, we have different accessories and t-shirts and different budgets at each store. So take a look at both, find what you like, buy, share, subscribe, and like today. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Indian of Oklahoma City and another used bike review. Today we are doing the 2014 Honda NC700X. This is in their Adventure series of motorcycles, and I will put more detailed specifications in the description below. But I will let you know it is powered by a 670cc liquid-cooled parallel twin. It has a 32.7-inch seat height, 474-pound curb weight, and the ergonomics are pretty standard with a start and stop switch with the starter button on the right side. Left side is the bright selection, hazard button, the horn, and also the turn signals. So this bike pretty well easily laid out. You do have an awesome thing in this storage box here, and that is for a full face helmet and your manuals and toolkit. Pretty cool thing there. It is waterproof, and if you pop this open on the other side, you have your fuel tank to get to the 3.7 gallon capacity tank. So we'll go ahead and take this for a ride. As you can see, it does have a couple modifications with the exhaust, the windshield, and the GV luggage rack on the back. So let's go ahead and see how she does, and y'all enjoy the video.
Alright, so reviewing the display up here, where we're on the bike, you will see that it is full digital. So you have a digital tach across the top, you have your odometer, you have time, you have on the right side a fuel gauge, you have gear indication, of course your speed. On the top you have your indicator, your service engine light, your oil lamp, your neutral, and temperature as well, along with bright. This aftermarket windscreen is actually doing a very good job of keeping the wind off of my body, so I like that. Go ahead and go to 6th gear. So cruising at highway speed, 6th gear, you're looking at around 32 to 3,500 RPM. Bike sits, you know, like a standard bike. So the way my knees go down, they go way down on the tank below. Of course, gripped in and slightly back on the feet. You do have your upright seating position. Your arms come straight down, straight out. Now this bike is extremely nimble. It's so thin and light feeling when it's on the road. And at highway speeds, we don't have very much wind today, but I'm not really being pushed around by anything either. It's just a nice stable platform. Now the one thing about the NC700X is that you can find these in automatic as well. This one just happens to be a manual, which is something I prefer. But the transmission has been very good so far. Doesn't require much to make it work. It does have somewhat decent pull if you're still in top gear, if you need to get out of the way of something. Ride's really nice, and even though it has that exhaust on it, it doesn't make an incredible amount of noise. It's a little deeper than what the stock would be, but it's not really loud at all. I barely even hear it, really. a nice smooth ride too. This 700 twin is doing just fine powering this motorcycle, not unbalanced at all. Everything is absolutely crystal clear in the mirrors. Even if I take my hand off of them, it doesn't vibrate back out or anything. A lot of times when you're riding a motorcycle, believe it or not, you move your hand and you'll see vibrations come through even more because your hand is sitting there deadening those vibrations away from the mirrors and things. So whenever you take your hand off of this, you don't even see any vibration go through, and I don't feel anything in my feet or in my hands at this time at all. Even if you give it a good rasp whenever it's in top gear and you're just kind of cruising along, you hear the engine and you kind of feel the engine a smidge, but you don't feel any like strange vibrations that are concerning or anything like that. It never feels bogged down. Like I said, I like the mirror visibility. They're very good. I know they had those spotter mirrors on there before, but that's not really required. I like the way it looks right now. I can see very clearly. And this thing just holds its speed real nicely. I mean, the engine, even on hills and against the wind, because we do have those north winds right now, there's just nothing really bothering it right now. The suspension on this bike is also very good as well. It does have a traditional fork, so it is not inverted, it is not a thick fork or anything like that. It's just a 41 millimeter that is not adjustable either. Try to show you that. Back is preload only, but I mean it handles just fine. I mean, we're here in Oklahoma, all we have is broken roads. All we know is, you know, bouncing and everything, and this thing is handling it just fine. Checking out the engine braking here, and actually works rather well. Downshift smoothly. Shifts precisely going down too. This thing's a pretty good riding little bike. You hit the rev limiter pretty quick there, about 36 miles an hour in first gear. But it gets up there pretty quick. I mean, your red line on this is not very much. It's only 6,500. So it's not a sport bike by any means, and it's not designed to be. It's designed to be kind of an adventure-ish bike for the road. I mean, it does have, as you saw, the beak. It does have the more road tires, though. But, I mean, I mean, if you take some tires and put them on there, you can probably get a decent adventure bike out of this because it's light, nimble, and just a very good stance, very good little riding bike. And if you want to take it on fire roads, I bet you could do it just fine if you had a little bit different tire on there. Wouldn't do anything particularly scary with it because it wouldn't like that at all. It's much more road going despite the way it looks, and despite its name, NC700X. I do like that little growl you get out of that thing whenever you're downshifting. Acceleration is moderate. You don't get a lot of pull in the upper end, so your power band is low to mid only. When you get to the high, it really does seem to back off and doesn't accelerate as hard anymore. It definitely is a more low revving, low torque, or low RPM torque bike. But it's not bad at all. I mean, it rides really well. Like I said, I'm hitting these hard bumps here, and it's not doing anything to upset the bike. It's not doing anything to upset me at all. I like kind of hitting them straight on purpose to make it, you know, make it where I could feel them, and it's handling them super well. So this bike, you know, getting out on the interstate, it's a great touring bike. It's a great bike that you can add some bags to and take around for long distances, because it's going to be comfortable for you even at the slow speeds on the city streets as well. And it's super nimble. I mean, it's just so easy to flick around. You just want to attack some better corners, and unfortunately Central Oklahoma does not offer these corners that we need to have an enjoyable time. But I mean, this thing does handle quite well. Let's get down to 25 here. So 25 second gear, right around $3,000, a little less. It's just purring right along. And sometimes when you get a bike like this is a bike that you want to buy for everything you're going to do. So if you're going to go out and do some fire roads and some other things that are already pretty much, well, nice and packed down dirt, good dirt roads and stuff, you want to take this out for a little bit of adventure riding, this is something you can do. If you're going to commute in the city, you want a bike that doesn't feel bogged down and horrifying when you're riding through the city, because some bikes just don't like those lower speeds like this. They sit there and they feel like they're bogged down. They feel like they're not happy at all, and you don't feel happy either when the bike don't feel happy. And this one, I mean, it's just happily plugging right along, nice and smooth still, no bog in the engine. Let me jump to third. Even in third, right around 2,300 RPMs at 25 miles an hour, it's working great. So if you're looking for a bike that can handle not only the adventure side-ish and want to handle the city side, this one can do it. And like I said, this one's been lowered, and I mean, the suspension doesn't feel anything off of it, which is good. And it rides so well that if you want to go on a long range trip and have a good time, this windshield has been doing very good. There is a lot of buffeting at the top. I think this actually does have adjustment brackets on the front of it, that maybe you can change that slightly, or of course you can always change it out to a windshield that best fits your needs, keeps the wind off the chest and stuff and messing with the bottom of your helmet and pulling you around. But I mean, it's just riding right along just fine. It pulls really decently. Like I said, it's moderate on the acceleration. It's not anything that you're gonna, you know, write home about it. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but it's definitely not terrible either. I mean, I like the way it sits here. I mean, it's even in idle, you get a little bit of feel from the engine, but you really don't get any vibrations or anything. I mean, this bike, I mean, it doesn't have a soul factor if you're looking for that. It doesn't have like the vibration heavy engines that most people like when they're looking for a soul bike, but this one does a great job of being an everything bike. Even accelerating on here, I mean, it gets speed really decently, but you know, not in your face, but it's absolutely a blaster ride. And before I even rode this bike, I've always had an opinion of these that they were boring. I've always looked at them and went, they're just an appliance bike. But after riding it, I mean, it has a lot more to offer because it's so well rounded. I mean, used to, I thought the MT-07 Yamaha was the best overall everything bike. Like, it was, because that bike I loved to ride, but this one here is an absolute joy to ride, and it's so well balanced between everything, between the power and the way it delivers it, the way it handles itself in all conditions, from the city streets to the highways to canyon carving to long distance. This bike handles them all just fine. And like I said, I would need a slightly different seat. Oh man, this thing turns great. Getting 40 miles an hour on this horrifying road here. This ain't bad at all, guys. this works so well as an everything bike. I love it to death. And I think it is cool that it does have this big storage facility for your helmet. I mean, it does help change the balance of the motorcycle to not have your gas right here. It's in the back, right behind me, below me as well. And it's just so well balanced. It's so smooth and so effortless to ride this motorcycle. It is one of the simplest motorcycles to ride. Clutch engagement is spot on. Basically, you get about an inch off the handlebar here and it's already catching and ready to go. Smoothly transitions in and it just rides so well. The brakes have been very good. It's not even like it's not even ABS or anything. It's not anything special. It's just a really decent brake setup for this size of bike, and it works well. I mean, that's what it needs to do. It needs to stop the bike, and it does so, very, very good. I mean, I haven't had any complaints. I haven't had any, things that scared me. I mean, the first time I ever rode my Street 750, for instance, the first time I slammed on those brakes and I wasn't really stopping, that really woke me up. But this bike is easy to get down to the speed. I mean, the engine braking combined with regular braking has been doing just fine. No worries at all there. Ergonomics is just so easy to use. You almost want to have, the ability to put cruise control on it and things. And of course, you can change your trips up here. This thing's averaging right now 69.1 miles per gallon. I mean, come on, that's amazing. 63.2 over the time. I mean, this thing is getting superb gas mileage. It's doing this effortlessly. I mean, there is nothing you can say wrong about this bike. The exhaust that's aftermarket's actually perfect for it. I mean, it has enough of a low end growl to make you known, but it has, more of a, it's still quiet, but it's just, it sounds pretty nice. I mean, like I said, I barely hear it, but it still has a great sound to it. It rides really well. It doesn't mess with the engine the way it runs. It's still running very smoothly. It still has decent power. It's not anything to write home about, but it definitely is a great riding machine. So well balanced and so overall, this is the most balanced and perfect, just everything motorcycle that I've ever rode so far on this channel. And I have a lot of praise for it, definitely. So if you find one of these running around, they're not too terribly expensive. Like I said, if you're a brand new rider and you haven't got the concept of clutch and shift and everything, this does come in automatic, and it is a push button if you want to do it that way, if you want to have a little bit of manual control. But I mean, it's just a great little bike. I really thoroughly enjoy it, and I just having a great time. At any rate, once again, this is the Rabid Hedgehog, and you all have a great time out there in the wind, and we'll catch you on that next review. Remember, this bike is currently located at Indiana of Oklahoma City, located here on 10th Street. It's 7 Northeast 10th Street, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Ignore the construction if you come down here during this time. It's all at the railroad tracks here. So if you're looking for a great used bike, come down, talk to them, and pick up this lovely little ride. Have a great one, folks.